Hi, this is Bill the Techno Gypsy. In this video, I'm going to talk about how I tuned the suspension on my 2017 Jeep Cherokee Latitude with Active Drive 2. It wasn't easy, but I am very happy with the final results. What did I end up with? How about a more aggressive stance and 6-inch wheel to fender flare clearance and overall ground clearance of 12 inches to my rock rails. I want to share my journey with my fellow Jeep Cherokee enthusiasts. First, you need to understand the difference between the Trailhawk and other models in the Cherokee family. The biggest differences are the locker, the wheelbase, and the ground clearance, except in models equipped with the off-road suspension and Active Drive 2. Models that have these options match the specifications for the Trailhawk minus the locker. My 2017 Jeep Cherokee Latitude has both of these options. Knowing that the suspension is the same as the Trailhawk, the first thing I upgraded was the tires. I upgraded to a larger, more aggressive, off-road capable tire. I purchased BF Goodrich all-terrain TAs. I went with LT 245 65R17 KO2s. I had them mounted on my stock wheels without any problems. These are Load Range D light truck tires, so I had to adjust the tire pressure. You really don't want to run these tires at the recommended tire pressure of 65 psi, so I did my initial tests between 38 and 45 psi depending upon load. I will cover how to find your optimum tire pressure in my Chalking Your Tires video. One of my concerns with this larger tire was the spacing between the tire and the bottom of the front strut coil spring seat. It looked a little close. The next step in my journey was to replace the stock shocks with Bilsteins. I have always preferred Bilsteins to stock shocks and struts due to their ride improvement and lifetime warranty. So I purchased the Bilstein B6 shocks and struts for vehicles equipped with the off-road suspension and Active Drive 2. The shocks and struts went on without a problem. The funny thing was that my spacing concern between the tire and the coil spring seat on the front shocks went away. This turned out to be a bigger problem than I had anticipated. After replacing the shocks, the next task was to replace the front and rear springs with a set of Eibach ProLift springs. These are progressive springs that are tuned for increased handling performance of the vehicle. If you don't have the off-road suspension option on your Cherokee, you will get approximately 1 inch of lift. If you do have the off-road suspension or a Trailhawk, they will be the same height as your stock springs. Well, this is where things started going bad for my modifications. I couldn't figure out why my rear end was sagging. I thought the additional weight of the roof rack and moving the spare up there may have put too much weight on the rear end. My mechanic suggested that I switch back to my stock coil springs and see if that fixed the problem. Luckily, I didn't do that. Instead, I purchased a set of Dobinson Model C29-199 rear coil springs. These are linear rate springs that give me a higher load carrying capacity. They also increase the stock height of a Trailhawk 1 inch. Remember that issue about the spacing between the stock front coil seat and the new tires? Well, it turns out the Bilstein B6 front struts move the coil seats up 1 inch. If I had left the stock front struts on my Cherokee, it would have been level. But with the Bilstein struts, I needed the Dobinsons in the rear to set my front and rear tire to fender clearances correctly and to lift the back end. I also decided to put in a set of Firestone 4196 air helper bags in the rear springs. I wanted to make sure that I would not have any problems when pulling my small utility trailer. Let's take a look at how these are installed. You can see how the airbags fit into the coil springs. To get these things installed after installing the rear springs is a bear, but I got them in after the fact. The trick I found is to remove the valve stem from each bag, heat the bag with a hairdryer, compress all of the air out, fold it into thirds, and then put the valve stem back in. Once this is done, you can work it between the coils and get it seated properly. Just remember to jack up the side you are working on, place a jack stand under the vehicle so as to take the weight off the coil spring. I am very happy with the look and performance of my Cherokee after all the suspension mods. It gives it a much more aggressive look, better off-road performance, and marked improvements in ride and handling. By the way, I did end up with a nice pair of Eibach Pro Lift rear springs with bags installed. You can sell these to someone who wants to replace their stock Trailhawk rear springs with a set of progressive rate springs, or to non-active drive 2 owners who want a 1-inch lift in the rear end. I hope you found this video interesting and informative. Please subscribe to my channel as I continue to mod my Jeep Cherokee. If you would like to help support my efforts financially, check out my Patreon page at www.patreon.com/technog. This is Bill, the Techno Gypsy, saying 7-3 and God bless.